Hi, I'm April Shipton. I'm a Christian singer-songwriter from Herefordshire, and I want to tell you the story about what happened to me when I was a teenager. So about the age of 17, I just went to sixth form. I was starting to try and prove the person I thought I could be. I thought I could be grown up and perfect and have it all together. But at the same time, life at home was really hard, and me and my mum had this horrible, tense relationship where we would argue all the time about anything and everything. It was really tense, and it really hurt us both. And it just these arguments just never seemed to end. So I was just constantly going to college frustrated and like wanting to prove my independence and that I could sort myself out, sort of thing. And I think that was a big trigger for me into what happened next. And about the same time, all these pressures of sixth form and stuff, and I was feeling jealous of friends who I thought had it all together and I thought were beautiful and had all the looks and had all the popularity and whatever. And all those things combined, and for me, I developed anorexia. It was definitely a way of coping with what was going on at home, but it was also this way of just feeling like I was in control of something, and this was a secret that I didn't need to tell anybody and I had complete control over. So pretty soon it escalated. So it started off where I just decided I was going to stop eating for 3 weeks, and after that I ate an apple or a piece of toast a day just for the months that followed. But pretty soon it became something that was all consuming. So what started off as something that I thought I had control over and was kind of helping me cope in a way was soon becoming this huge ugly monster that started to control my whole life. So I used to pride myself secretly on days when I would eat nothing, and I would feel better than everyone around me when that was the case. And that was like an alarm bell, like why am I comparing myself to other people and feeling better than them? Like there's something wrong there. And as I walked down the street, I'd be comparing myself to everyone I saw, and I'd be deciding whether I fell short or whether actually I felt better than them. And it became this huge pride thing. A couple of years that kind of lasted for, and my weight changed and people started making comments. Some people were worried about me, but the people who were worried about me and told me, that made me feel somehow good in a kind of sick, twisted way. Like, great, they're worried about me, I must be looking thin. And thin in this topsy-turvy world was good, and fat was wrong. So if anyone was worried about me and wanted me to get better, you don't want to get better when you're anorexic, because if you're better, you're fat. And that's how I saw it. Coincidentally, around a few years into this, I was just prescribed by the doctor a pill for my skin to improve acne. But the side effects of it were drastic, and they included weight gain. So suddenly I was in this pit of just constantly trying to be skinny and be better than everyone, and suddenly I started gaining weight by the stone. I was still really restricting what I was eating, but I was gaining so much weight. And again, people made comments, and some people actually said they thought I looked better before when I was skinnier, and that was pretty crushing. And because I wasn't fixed in my head, even though I was gaining weight, I just started to absolutely plummet. So I looked in the mirror and I was just beside myself. I was just hysterical about what I saw in the reflection, and I could even almost hear voices telling me that I wasn't good enough and I was disgusting. So I stopped going out. I didn't want to socialise. I just thought I wasn't good enough and I was too disgusting to be seen by anybody. I hated how I looked. And just became really isolated, and that fostered this depression that snuck in. So I was just in this awful pit, and it was around that time I went back to the doctor for a routine pill check, and she weighed me and she told me that I was now officially obese. And that was the worst thing I could have heard at that point, and I just fell apart in that doctor's office. I came out in floods of tears, and my mum was waiting to take me home. Now all this time I had just lied daily about what I was going through. I never wanted anyone to know. It was a secret that belonged to me and made me feel special in this awful way. So as I came out of that doctor's surgery in floods of tears, I had no energy left to lie anymore. All my walls had been broken down, and I told my mum everything. And she was so incredibly gracious, and she cried with me in the car home and prayed with me. But I think she recognised, being much more spiritually mature than I was, she recognised that this needed some serious prayer. So we went to see her friend in the week who has a prayer ministry. There's nothing like magical or special particularly about her. She just has a ministry where God sends people her way, she prays with them, and lives get changed. So she's just really walking with Jesus closely, basically, because we can all do that too. So I went to her for prayer with my mum, and she sat me down, and immediately I just felt like I could really trust her. She was really gracious and really calming. She asked me to tell her everything, so I did. And then she said a few things which I think are just instrumental in this story. So first of all, she asked me to go through my memories and forgive out loud by name everybody who had ever mentioned my weight, even if they were just joking or if it was like a high school tease, everything, no matter how insignificant I thought it had been. So we literally sat there and made a list of people, and one by one out loud I forgave them by name. I just think that is so key for breakthrough. What happened next was this lady asked me to apologise to God. So it sounds pretty shocking to suggest you need to apologise for a mental health issue, but I had responsibility here. I decided to take control of something, trying to take control of my life in this really nasty, imperfect way, which was so far from God's plan for me and distracted me and made me like compare myself to others and fostered jealousy. It was so far from the perfect way that God can control and look after our lives. And I'd chosen it. I'd taken it into my own hands and pursued it rather than letting go and trying to deal with all these conflicts in a healthy way. So I had to apologise to Jesus. So I did. And I think that was really important too, to just let go of that. And then this lady put her hands on me and said, okay, April, I'm now going to pray and I'm going to tell these illnesses in the name of Jesus to leave you. And that's exactly what she did. And one by one, she was speaking to depression and she was speaking to anorexia and telling them, in the name of Jesus, I command you to go. You have to go now. And all I can tell you is that I had such a massive experience. I had a moment that I will never forget, where I physically remember the sensation, and the very next day, anorexia had left completely. I remember it was a hot day and I went to get a cold drink from a vending machine, but up until that point I would only ever have 0-calorie drinks, so water or Diet Coke, and that day I just fancied a Fanta. So I put my money in and had a Fanta, and it was the most significant Fanta of my life. And to this day, like, I have never been tempted in any way to go back to anorexia. It was 7 years ago now, and not once have I ever been tempted, because the power of Jesus is just so transformative. And also the depression left as well. So I was at that point crying myself to sleep every night just with how low I felt. The day I was prayed, I was so far removed from that I even forgot that was happening, and it took me a few months to look back and realise, oh, I haven't cried in ages. So that's the power of God that I can testify to, and I just thank him every day that he saved my life. That's my answered prayer story.